Here at Intoxicated Reviews, we intellectually dissect the art of cinema, scene by scene. Here's some clips.
All he is just a fucking big wooden doll full of cum, chasing kids around.
You look up guys who poop in a bag. I think that's where you'll find him. Because he is hurt.
It's probably just in your search history anyway, isn't it?
This movie fucking blows.
So don't forget to subscribe to Intoxicated Reviews on all places you find podcasts. Except Spotify. We're working on it.
Boys Club. Is it called Boys Club because my apartment looks like a boy lives in it?
I wouldn't say a boy lives in it. I would say a boy is kidnapped somewhere in here. Boys Club. We're everything. We're true crime. We're World Star Hip Hop.
World Star Hip Hop. We're Netflix reviews.
Stories of the day. Boys Club. Listen.
Yeah, do it. We're on iTunes. We're on Spotify. I think. No, we're not. And on Google Play. Nobody gives a shit.
Boys Club. Boys Club podcast. Now with 90% more sound clips of black people. Boys Club. Touch me and I'll sue.
Do not take product if you are hypersensitive.
Because that hurricane
wasn't that insane?
Was the lamest hurricane I've ever experienced.
You've experienced hurricanes before.
I've experienced one, which was
see as a prairie
even
boy,
bigger.
it blew me away. Like I was.
Oh, did it?
I was just like, this is insane. Like what the hell? Like,
did you guys lose power?
We did lose power, but I wasn't here. I was on tour in Newfoundland, just worrying about everything. Right?
Yeah.
Like I was watching. You know, because you're just watching the videos on Facebook and like cranes are falling and trees are busting in half, and I'm like, is my house blowing away? Like
that was the thing about it. Halifax and the Maritimes like to hype up storms.
Yeah.
And the days before the
chip
hurricane,
sales.
there was a true sense of panic. Like I went to Walmart and people were carrying out flats of water and like it was just chaos. And I was just like, oh shit, should I be worried? Then I researched categories, like the hurricane categories, and it said that a category 2 could break glass. And I'm going, what if my windows break? What if I have to evacuate?
Yeah.
What if I need to grab I got my cat carrier case out just in case. And I went into this state of panic because I'm a catastrophic thinker.
Yeah.
That's what they call them. Like, I'm always thinking about these really irrational things that could happen. I think we might have touched on this in your first episode.
Right,
but I get stressed out over like big scale, like things that would probably never happen.
Super irrational to be afraid of like the building coming down around you.
But you know, the chances, I guess what I mean is like the chances of
I'm
that
joking,
happening,
by the way. That's not irrational at all. That's totally irrational fear of being buried in rubble. Like,
right? Well, that was just it. And so like I got nervous, but then when it happened, it really, I've been here for like winter storms that felt more intense.
Right.
Like in terms of the wind sounds.
Yeah.
Like the woo.
Right.
And I didn't really hear much of that during this hurricane. So I was disappointed. I like disaster. What can I say?
Now, let's rewind a little here. Does your cat hate the cat carrier case? Like, does it freak out when it sees it?
No, but I don't think she's been like had trips to the vet enough to be scared of it. I think I've only taken her like twice in her life. So
my cat hates it.
Oh yeah.
He doesn't go to the vet. Like he's never been to the vet. Well, one time we took him to the vet to get all his shots and stuff, obviously. But like he's been a good cat for 5 years, and that's fine. And but we'll haul him on long road trips, and so now he just like, oh man,
is he a stressful traveler?
He does not like traveling, and I'm hauling this fucking cat across the country for 5 days of driving. I feel so bad for him.
I wonder if driving would be better than a plane, though. At least with driving, like it's there with you, and you can.
Yeah, and that's what we kind of decided is we'd rather.
Then like being, because where do they put cats on planes? They put them fairly...
Well, our cat is so big, I don't think he would fit in a little case that you could just put under the seat. So we pretty much were like, yeah, we got to drive him.
And how long is that drive?
It's 5 days of 9 hours of driving each day.
Woo, buddy.
Yeah.
Like you might be able to do it in like 4.5.
Well, I've
maybe.
got to, it's funny. So I'm moving to Calgary, by the way, for.
Yeah, we should open the fucking episode. Right? Oh my gosh, you guys, welcome back to the Intoxicated Podcast. I'm so excited to have a returning guest and another one of my favorites in this scene, Scott Belford.
Thank you.
Welcome back.
It's good to be here.
I'm so glad that I was able to get you on before you moved.
Me too.
Because I like having returning guests on. It's so much more comfortable. It's so much more, like, I just love it. And I had Catherine on recently, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go back in the vault and, like, get people that I had on, like, before. So welcome back. And,
well, it's good to be back.
oh, goodness. Cheers to that. And we're both drinking two different things. I'm drinking clear vodka drink, like the basic white bitch that I am.
I'm drinking Moosehead.
Moosehead, of course. I knew that you were, like, I thought it was, for some reason, I thought it was Oland.
Nope.
And I was like, oh, maybe it's Moosehead.
Yeah, Moosehead, yeah.
Hell
the
yeah.
other old man beer. Yeah.
I like it, though, because
me
it's
too.
not expensive. It's not like these fucking craft beers that are like $10 a beer.
Which
like,
I
what the
love.
fuck?
I just don't like spending $10 a beer.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's totally fair. Feel you on that. Money is such a stress.
Right?
We're both very stressed and depressed.
Yeah.
So welcome to the podcast.
Yeah. Hey, we're doing it.
But yeah, Scott, you were on back in the winter. We don't remember exactly when.
January-ish, I think.
Yeah, and you've been in Halifax for
14 months.
14 months.
Feel very settled in, you know, finally kind of made buds with some of the comedians in town and feel part of the scene. And just a few weeks ago, my fiance got a big promotion with WestJet, and now we're moving to Calgary because we can't stop fucking moving across this country.
Wow. So that's a big change.
It is a big change. It's funny because I am from Alberta. Like I started my career in Edmonton, so it is kind of a coming home of sorts, but it's also a city that I've never spent a lot of time in comedically. I know a few comics there, but not a lot. So I feel like I'm starting over in a third scene in 14 months, and it's...
And I have to commend you because not all comics do this full time. You are someone who you really truly hustle. You get yourself work. You put in the work. And as we know, that's not just getting up on stage and telling jokes. There's so much work.
I wish it was.
Behind the scenes of comedy that, like, if you don't do that work, you're not gonna make traction.
No.
And that traction can be slow. Like you said, you were here 14 months.
Yeah.
And you're just now feeling uncomfortable. Like, so it's a lot of work, but I mean, like, at the same time, it's like, you are prepared for it.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing in a way. You're the personality type that I think could be fun, like, could you find in a new scene? You just, but
well,
I
know I
understand the
will.
sadness.
It's just, it's daunting a little bit. And I'm such a magnet for anxiety anyways that, you know, I'll take little concerns and then make them a big deal in my head. So like, I'm sure once I get there, that's part of it too, is like my girl's there now, you know, I wish I could just be there and kind of jump in and start doing it. But instead I'm like wrapping up loose ends here and just not there to see it. So like, I just can't picture it, you know?
Right. And where exactly? What city is it again?
Calgary.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cowtown.
And are you going to be living?
We're living almost right downtown. Like I'm
bitchin'.
really excited to be city living again. Like that's the thing with out here is I'm a little out of town. I never really got the nightlife vibe of Halifax because, you know, I drove in every time. So
well, and in Halifax, it's tough because if you do live outside the city, it's not like there's a bunch of options that will take you into the city unless you're driving. If you're not driving, you're pretty fucked. Like, even me being where I am, and I'm about 10 minutes outside the downtown core, I've often thought just how convenient it would be for me to be downtown, because like when I have the Yucks touring people on, I have to tell them like it's a $15 cab ride from the West End, and like, and then sometimes I offer to pay, sometimes I can't pay.
Yeah, of course.
It's just this whole thing, whereas like if I was downtown, I could be like, oh, I'm right up the street from the West End, come stop by. It would do me really good in that way. And just being close to the open mics and stuff.
Have you thought about moving?
Yeah, absolutely. You know what the problem is?
The price.
Yeah. So when like years and years ago, like probably 4 or 5 years ago, when I was like looking for a 1-bedroom, the prices weren't this bad.
Right.
They are, even in the last year, the prices of a 1-bedroom apartment have gone way up.
Sir, it's why we bought. Like, you know, like it was so crazy to be looking for an apartment downtown Halifax and being like, this is on par with what we were paying in Toronto, which is insane.
Yeah.
You know?
Toronto's madness.
Toronto's still higher
It is still
But-
higher. Yeah, which is why I always preface it by saying this is better than other cities.
Yeah.
But that's why I choose not to go to those other cities. Like
Yeah.
people ask me all the time, why not move to Toronto? Why not move to Ottawa? Or like,
Yeah.
I mean, other than my extreme anxiety, which we've
Right.
talked about, it's like, I can't afford to. Unless you're hiring me for a job that pays me like double what I'm making
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
now, I don't think I could afford to move.
Yeah.
And this apartment, though there's like, it's kind of small and, you know, there's issues with it. This is like $825 for a 1-bedroom in Halifax. Not too shabby.
Yeah.
Like if you look now, it's
Oh, God, that's great.
$950 at the least.
Oh.
Usually.
For sure.
And
that's
most of them are $1,000.
And that's still this area, Clayton Park, you know, that's still not downtown.
Not
obviously.
downtown,
Like
no.
downtown, you're looking 1,300 at least.
And downtown, they take these pieces of trash, historic buildings
Mm-hmm.
or like historic homes, and charge so much in rent. These places aren't renovated; they're probably infested with mice.
Mm. Yeah.
And just because it's downtown, they jack that price up,
Right.
and they get these like richer students that are like living on
Yeah.
student loans, paying them because they're so close to universities.
Yeah.
So that's
The mice
other
are
issue.
friendlier downtown.
They smell like the harbor. You get that harbor
It's a real
scent.
Halifax fucking deal, yeah.
Like, I even have mice in this apartment. But mind you, like, there's units in this building that are, like, renovated and a little nicer, but you do have to pay more.
Right.
So I do think that it is, like, you get what you pay for.
Right.
And to be honest, for me, I can't see myself ever buying a home just financially. I'm just like, I don't think that's ever going to happen for me as a single gal. The best I can hope for is to get to a point financially where I could get a 2-bedroom
Right.
and have a studio room.
Yeah.
That's my dream. Like when people ask me, what's your ideal, like, housing situation? I'm like, a nice
Yeah.
2-bedroom apartment with a dishwasher and a 2nd bedroom for
Yeah.
a studio. That would be my goal.
Dishwasher 1,
Dishwasher,
studio 2nd.
maybe. If it's a bigger living room, I could make it work. But like, as you can see, I'm pretty cramped in here.
Yeah.
It's like my living space.
But I mean, look at us.
look at
Right?
us.
You can't tell we're not in a studio.
When I was texting with Nathan McIntosh, I was like, my shitty studio's out on Olivet Street. And he was like, haha, you're really selling this on me.
Yeah. That's so funny.
And then I wrote back and I was like, actually, no, I like my studio. It is small. But what do you expect? It's a free podcast
Yes.
that, you know, isn't really making me any money. So
Are you slowly starting to be able to monetize this thing? No. What do you know? What are the steps you need to? Is it listenership you need more of? Yeah.
extravagant.
Yeah.
Podcasting is so tough because it's so oversaturated. Everyone has one. There's so many. And really, it's the top 10% that get to do those things.
Right.
And those are like those are celebrity podcasts. Those are,
Right.
you need to be like a true crime podcast, which those are huge.
Right.
They get a lot of listeners. Comedy is tough. Comedy's a tough one.
Yeah. Because every comedian has a podcast.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you need, I think it's like a minimum of like 20,000 downloads
Wow.
an episode.
Right.
Like, can you imagine 20 people?
And you're doing all right, though, aren't you?
I'm
Like,
doing okay. I would say that it's.
Can we talk numbers, or do you not want to like?
I mean, I won't say specific numbers, but I'll say that like I recently experienced a drop, and I don't know why. There was like a massive drop recently, and I'm just
Weird.
like, it's just tough because you're kind of screaming out into the void. You're kind of putting these things out.
Yeah.
You don't always get feedback. Most of the feedback I get are from the comedy scene,
Right.
and I've never gotten any bad feedback.
Right.
Everyone's just like, I loved so-and-so's episode.
Yeah.
So it's always been a positive thing. I've never gotten bad feedback. And when people don't download, you don't know if it's because they didn't choose to download or maybe something fucked up with their phone.
Yeah.
I know that like some podcast apps, like they, if you don't download the most recent 2 episodes, it'll stop automatically downloading them. So you're actually not getting the downloads.
Right.
Unless you go in and click start downloading
Yeah.
again. So it's a little tricky, and I really don't know why.
That's interesting.
I still love it. I'll still do
Yeah.
it, but it is, the downloads are inconsistent.
When you say a drop, you mean like in the last
2 months.
2 months? Weird.
I was at an all-time high in July. Like the highest amount of
When
downloads.
did you start
I've-
doing the video?
Like soon after, it would have been like maybe around March.
Okay.
Maybe.
I'm glad the answer's not 2 months ago.
No. And I wouldn't even think that it would be that. I mean, hopefully people aren't just watching on YouTube and not downloading.
Yeah.
That would be concerning to
Yeah.
me. I think it just adds an extra cool element for people wanting to consume it. So it's just like there's no way to know unless people tell me.
Yeah.
There's no way to know. And the tricky thing too is like I really love interviewing comedians, but I can't do it every week because
Yeah, of
like
course.
it's such a small scene.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
logistics
God.
wise,
Especially just with comics you want to have on. Like,
exactly.
What's the list? Like after you, and that's the thing. Once you have the 10 to 20 comics on you want to have,
Then you double dip back into
then you
returning,
double dip
which is
back,
great.
yeah.
I love doing it. And I don't think that like when I say that there's a drop, I don't think that that's personal to like the people I'm having on. It could
No.
be a number of things. It could be format. It could be pacing. It could be like there's so many reasons why someone would just lose interest in a podcast.
Could be summer.
Yeah. I had someone. There was a 1-star review left on it that said that what was it? It was like something. It actually said that my pacing was slow, and I thought that was hilarious because I'm like such a fast talker,
Yeah.
and usually my episodes cover a lot in one episode.
Wow.
So I thought that was weird. A weird piece of feedback to get.
If your listenership dropped because of one-star review, fuck your listeners.
Fuck you guys. No. It's important. I mean, the fact of the matter, like, I truly do love doing this, and I'll keep doing it, even if the numbers go down. But I mean, it does get to a point where, like, if the numbers are really low, like, what's going on? Like, you know, is this worth the time and effort? But I for now it is.
Yeah.
For now it is. I'm having fun.
You enjoy it. That's
I'm
all that
learning so
matters.
much.
Yeah.
Is the thing too.
Yeah.
It's kind of selfish in a way.
And it's funny with stuff like this, like with podcasts or like comedy or anything arts driven.
Yeah.
You can kind of feel like you're just pounding your head against the wall for years and years and years and feel like you're not doing anything different. And then all of a sudden just feel like you're taking a huge step forward, right?
Yeah.
And so you just kind of got to
keep going.
Keep going.
I think that that's the key.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people have told me, well, Sarah, like, why don't you just scale it back? Like, why don't you do like one every 2 weeks? And I'm like, no, I'm really terrified of losing momentum.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a comedian. Like, if you just were like, I'm going to take 2 weeks off from mics, or I'm going to take, you're going to get rusty.
You don't get
like,
better by doing less. That's never a thing.
No.
It's never a thing.
I totally agree with you. So
no musician's like, I was playing guitar in my room 8 hours a day and was like, you know what? Maybe I should scale it back to once a week.
Right?
And then really found my sound. Right?
And I understand why people say that, you know, to a degree. But I
Yeah, because there are people with jobs who are like, what the fuck are you doing? Doing arts in your life. Like, of course you should scale it back.
Yeah. It's, you know, it's one of those things. Like we were talking before these mics turned on about depression. And it's funny because the podcast brings me so much joy. And I've definitely like had the most success in the podcast in the last year, but personally, it's been the worst year.
Mm-hmm.
It's just strange how that correlates.
Yeah.
And it's because I'm probably putting a lot of my time into this as a distraction from other life things.
Right. Right.
So there's a weird contrast. But I think that if I were ever scale back, I would probably just say, hey, I'm taking 2 or 3 weeks off.
Yeah.
I'll be back. Don't worry.
Go back to, take a couple weeks off and go back to weekly. That's smarter than
recharge.
Than scaling back to once every 2 weeks.
Because I think I'd get lazy.
Yeah.
Like kind of like a gym membership.
And that's the thing too, is if you're doing it once every 2 weeks, it's easy to just skip it and then
Fuck off.
and then it's once every month.
Yeah, exactly. Like I have kind of these streaks where I'll do a bunch. Like I record it with Tyler Morrison, who is at Yuck Yucks on the Saturday. I'm recording with you today, and hopefully somebody else on Thursday. So that's 3 in a week. Bam! I got 2 weeks backlogged. Sweet.
Yeah.
So like I'll now and then hit these strides.
Yeah, of course. Where you can lay down 3 in a week, and then you're like, I'm good for a few weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's a grind.
Yeah.
Like comedy is a grind.
Yeah. Like anything worth doing, I think. I don't know.
I don't know how you guys do it, truly. It's
people say that to me all the time, and I'm just like, I don't know. I guess you just do it enough. I don't know. I'm just like, well, it's better than warehousing. Like, I
know exactly what you mean.
And I get frustrated, like the amount of times where I'm just banging my head against the wall, feeling like I should just fucking get a job. Like it would just be easier to get a job, and not even financially. Like financially, I've actually been pretty decent this year.
Yeah.
I mean, June was hard, but if there's a comic in this country that June isn't tough on, fucking hats off.
That's
to
what
them.
I've heard. I've heard that summer can be harder.
I don't understand it. Well, I do. It's because Canada, you're just like, as soon as the sun comes out and it's warm, everyone's like, let's drink outside.
And it's lighter for longer, so if shows are starting at 8, people are still on patios.
It's still sunny out, and there's nothing weirder than starting a comedy show when, like, the sun is shining through the windows and
It's very strange. It does really feel like a darker...
of course.
Darker thing to do.
And there's nothing like a show in January when you come in at 8 o'clock, it's been dark for 3 hours, you grab a beer and you're like, let's have
do
some
this.
fun. Like,
I totally agree. Yeah, it feels like a more
where it's the
wonderful
opposite
thing.
in June, when you come in and you are coming in off the patio, or you're like, you've been working all day and you're like, I want to just like enjoy this weather.
Yeah.
And then you go in to do comedy, and it's almost like the sun is taunting you out the window, and you're like, you're watching people have fun and stuff, and you're looking around at like all the other fucking comics that are miserable, and you're like, why am I doing this? Like, why am I? And I'm the comic wondering that, right? So that's why summer's hard, I think.
It's just tough to get people to go see live comedy.
Yeah.
It really, really, really is. And it's so hit or miss. Open mics are so hit or miss.
Yeah.
Like, there are some nights that are so great.
Yeah.
And other nights that I'm just like, oh boy, there's 3 people here.
It's weird. I mean, even pro shows. I mean, I played the Comedy Club in Prince George this weekend. Sonar, shout out. They're a really cool little club in northern BC. And the Friday show was packed. It was crazy. It was awesome.
Yeah.
And then Saturday, almost nobody.
Yeah.
Rough show, right? And it was just like, why is this? Like, I don't understand.
And there's no formula. There's no equation. There's no way to crack it, really.
And comedy rooms are hilarious. The people running comedy rooms always have an excuse for why it was garbage, right? Oh, it was too nice. There was another event. Something was happening.
Yep.
The wind was blowing east-west, like.
People were getting storm chips.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the weather, I think we're just in Halifax and Nova Scotia, like, so affected by the weather.
Mm-hmm.
The weather
But
can
that's
make or
everywhere.
break plans.
Yeah.
That's true. I have such a small view of the world because I've only ever lived
Right.
here. I really should move somewhere else.
Well, or drive across the country. No joke.
You don't know about my fear of driving.
Oh, I don't know of your fear of driving.
I'm terrified of driving.
Can you passenger?
Yeah.
Oh, you're like, not even that.
I'm a little, ask anyone who's had me as a passenger. I do tend to, hold the shit handle.
You're the mother in the car.
A little bit. Or like if they just brake a little too hard, I'll gasp. I'll
Right.
be
Right.
And it's so funny. 'cause
Like mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I kind of am. I was driving with Robbie Vino once. He was driving me home.
Yeah.
And I let out a little like, and he's just, and it's so funny seeing, especially men react to how I am in a car. Cause
Right.
they'll just be like, just calm down.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just like, it was just a gas.
Yeah. It was just
Like,
it was just a terrified gasp. I don't know what's wrong here.
I just love the words calm down. Cause it's like every time I've been told that, has
you
been
always calm right down, right? It's
Or-
so soothing. Calm down, and you're like, sure, of course. Thank you for telling me this. If only I had thought of this on my own.
It's always been when I could have been way less calm.
Right.
And I just think you guys are funny.
You're like, you have no idea the lack of calm I really could put out right now.
I used to be real bad with like kind of temper tantrums and outbreaks.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I've gotten way better, but I'm still pretty high strung.
Good for you.
Yeah. But I mean, like we talked about anxiety. And,
Oh, yeah.
And like what, so you say that you kind of have some anxiety as well.
Yeah, I tend to be an
You an
idiot that
overthinker?
way. Yeah, that's what it is.
You overthink everything.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot
I'll leave
of
situations feeling good about it, and then by 2 days later, I'm like, well, I really fucked that situation up.
Aw. And is there anything that makes you, any cues that you pick on that make you think that, or is just your own head?
You know what? A lot of it is, I don't know. I think it's the situations I put myself in, because as a comic, you're in bars a lot. So like, I'll have 3 beers, and I've always been a guy with 3 beers in me. My lips start going, and there's no filter, and then like, I think I'm having a good time, but then I'll think back on that and be like, oh, did I upset
Did
that
you offend
person?
someone?
Or
Yeah.
did I, you know,
say the wrong thing the wrong way?
did I look like an idiot? Did I cost myself a gig? Did I present myself professional? You know, there's lots of things I can worry about.
That's actually very fair.
Well, it's not. It's silly, but I mean,
I get it though.
If I'm not going to worry about it, who is, right? So,
Well, do you ever? I know that on the Boys Club you were talking about a set that you did when you were drunk.
oh yeah, I do this once a year. Once
a year?
Once a year, I'll get shit-faced, go on stage, and think that I destroyed, and then we'll listen back and be like, "Oh, I didn't destroy. I was just shit-faced." Right? Like I'm like, I enjoyed that. I'm sure nobody else did, though. Right?
Holy crap! Well, because I always I do record. I record with a lot of people before shows, and I'm always very like leery of like how much booze I should bring or like how much booze they'd want to drink, because like everyone has their tolerance,
Right,
or,
of
like,
course.
and like I think a lot of comedians have a beer on stage or before, but I always wonder that because like I don't know if I could ever perform drunk. I'd
It's
be too
funny.
nervous.
It always depends. I really don't like to perform drunk because I find even after 2 beers, I'm not as sharp and I'm not as and I'm not as caring. And it's so funny because some comics that fuels them. That's better for them.
It loosens them up more.
They perform better.
Yeah.
I prefer, if I'm going to do something before going up, smoking weed and then
Interesting.
being a little bit more just
Chill.
easygoing, chill, malleable with whatever situation. But I mean, I'm not saying that I'll get super baked right before going up.
Right.
But you know, like 30 minutes before, have a little hoot or two, and then you know,
Yeah, a hoot or two.
yeah, you get it.
I like that. I wouldn't be able to do more than hoot. Like even with podcasting, I tried to do a high episode, and I was like, "Oh boy,
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah.
I can't keep up the combo."
Yeah.
When I get high, I'm a piece of shit.
But it's to each their own, right? Like
That's
it's like
the thing.
it's like what vice makes you feel the most comfortable, and weed has always kind of been my thing. Even
Right.
though don't get me wrong, I love to booze with the best of them, right?
Yeah.
Like,
but it's your
but
thing.
yeah, like I
You're
would
used
never
to it.
drink every day, but I will smoke weed every
Oh
day.
yeah. Well, I make a joke. I'm like, I wish I could do that because I just can't afford to have 2 vices.
I just love both of them so much.
Right?
It's really hard.
Gun to your head, if you had to choose one, you'd probably choose weed. Though, right?
I would.
Yeah.
I would say so.
You'd
hard
You'd
one.
save weed from the fire if there was a house fire and you had to
If there
grab-
was a house fire, I mean, yeah. Like cat first,
cat first, very important. Fiance.
wife second, yeah, fiance second.
Oh, I wanted to ask you about your fiance.
Yeah.
Because you weren't engaged when you were on the
No.
show. No. Okay. So how did this engagement happen? Tell me
Oh,
everything.
so it's funny. I'd been planning to ask her for. I'd kind of decided I wanted to marry her like 18 months ago. Is when I was like, okay, this is happening.
Aw.
But now I need to like. And it's funny because the ring she wanted wasn't even that crazy expensive, you know? Like, it was enough that I had to, as a comic, save for it a bit.
Right.
But, like...
And how did you know? Did she tell you what kind of ring she wanted? This is
yeah.
what I'm always
Oh, my
fascinated
God.
by. Oh, she told you right away.
For, like, 4 years, I've been getting, like just random texts with a ring. So, like, I there was, like, what I had done is I had taken every time she sent me something and just put it in a notes thing.
Oh, nice.
And so I kind of, like, had a few to choose from and, like, yeah, so...
Wow.
And she was getting very impatient. In fact,
Really?
Yeah. So she was really, because we had talked about it and I was like, yes,
Yeah.
obviously we will get married.
Yeah.
Because we were dating for 8 years. So like,
Absolutely.
I mean, obviously we weren't just going along without communicating where things were going. Right?
Exactly.
But she was definitely getting impatient with.
Making it official.
For me, marriage, and I mean, she hates when I say this, but marriage means fuck all to me. I could care less about it. I'm getting married because it's what she wants to do, and like, it's not going to affect me at all either way. I mean, people say that that's crazy sometimes. They're like, of course it's going to change. I don't think it is. Like, we've been living
No.
together for 6 years. We've been dating for 8. I don't know how
What can fuck? Yeah, exactly.
What can change that much? And maybe this is, but I don't know.
No, I think that's a good sign. I think it's when it does change that you're probably in trouble.
So I was just kind of at the point where I was like, you know what? If it's going to make her that much happier, it's funny because one of the things that pushed me over the edge was fellow comedian Kirsten Finch, right?
Oh, yes.
Podcast alumni, if you will.
Yes. I'll be having her back on too.
Intoxicated alumni.
Yes.
We had a talk where she was like,
no way.
Yeah. And she was like, so what's holding you back? And I was just like, I don't know. Like, it's just like, and then we were talking. And one of the things she said is like, I was really in the same situation, really putting the pressure to my guy. And I was going crazy at times. And like, and I was like, so now that you're married, are you like, it's not even a big deal? She's like, no, I'm legitimately happier. I'm like, you're
really?
legitimately happier.
Interesting.
And she was like, yes. And I was like, well, fuck. Then I guess maybe I should. Like, if you're legitimately happier after it's happened and it doesn't affect me at all, then why would I?
That's so
not
fascinating.
Do it, right?
That's really interesting. Because
Right?
it's like, is it just the reassurance of forever?
I don't
Maybe?
know. It seems silly because like divorce is 50%. So like I don't know.
I am
But-
I am so just like, I used to be such that girl that was like, I want to have a big wedding. And and things have just changed drastically for me. I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
I don't think it matters. But if I did find someone that I was dating for an extended period of time, I think I would end up wanting it. I don't know what it is.
Hey, no, of course.
It's strange. It must be a way in which we're socialized that women. I think it is.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's been beaten. It's not just women. It's been beaten to men too. That
True.
like marriages. I mean,
This is what you need to do.
There's been a ladder set out of success with each rung where you graduate high school, you go to college, you find your mate, you get married,
You get a
buy
9 to 5
house,
9 to 5 job.
9 to 5 job.
Yeah.
You have a kid. Yeah, like
You raise those kids, you die.
There is like a ladder of success in life kind of
Yeah.
set out as like the blueprint for
Yeah.
everyone. And it's not for everyone,
No.
but it's societally kind of what has been pressed onto us,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I
yeah.
totally get that way of thinking. And you know what, if it, again, like I said, if it makes her happier. So it's kind of funny because I bought the ring end of January. So literally like pretty quick after. And
Yeah.
I was going to Costa Rica with her at the beginning of March. And I was like, I'm going to propose in Costa Rica. And the ring fucking didn't come.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
So and what I had done is I had arranged it to be, because I ordered it out of the place she wanted in New York.
Yeah.
It took longer than I thought getting there. I didn't get it before we left. I was like, whatever, I guess I'll propose another time.
Right.
My buddy that I'd given my buddy I'd given the ring company my buddy's address so that it didn't come to me, right? And tip her off. So
oh God, that'd be
he
bad.
sent me a text of the ring for Taylor is here, blah blah blah, right? Now, in the text just above that, I had sent him a list of names for my album that I had recorded at the time. And so we were in Costa Rica.
Oh,
I
no.
was shit-faced. And I'm like, can I get your opinion on some of these album names? So I open up this text and I put it to her and she's going over the names and then sees the text below. But of course, I didn't know this, right? Like, I didn't know. I'm fucking shit-faced in Costa Rica. So, and which was funny because I remember her getting really weird after that. And I'm like,
Did she react when she saw, was there a facial reaction?
she just like shut down all of a sudden.
Oh my God.
And I
oh
was
my
like,
God, oh my
I was
God.
so mad. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, she can't even take time. We're on vacation. She can't take 30 seconds to give input on my comedy career? Like, what the fuck? Right? Like,
Especially an album name. That's a big deal.
Right, that's what I thought. And then what I didn't know is that, like, she had just found out that I had just bought a ring for her to propose.
Oh
And, like,
my
she was just like,
gosh.
so now she's losing her mind. Of course, she's texting with her mom and stuff. All of this, all unbeknownst to me, right?
Oh
Like,
my
obviously, I had
God.
no idea. So then when I did propose, like, she was all excited and stuff. And then she was like, I can't help it. I got to tell you, like, I knew. And I was like, you fucking knew? Like,
At least she waited until after.
Yeah.
Because nothing would have been worse than her going, oh, I know. before you did it?
Oh God,
Oh.
I mean,
Oh boy.
I don't know.
Oh my God. So what was the specifics of when you asked?
Well, do you know Polly's Cove by Peggy's Cove?
Yeah. Sort of.
Yeah. So it's Polly's Cove is just like it's about 5 kilometers from Peggy's Cove, and it's not near as popular.
It's
There's no lighthouse.
Peggy's hotter cousin.
Right.
Hotter, older.
Hotter,
cousin.
less known cousin, right? Yeah.
Polly and Peggy.
So we walked out there, and like, it's funny because I had like come up with like this great fucking speech, got down on one knee, and my brain was blank. Like, she turned around, and I was just like, will you marry me?
I love that.
She just started bawling and was like,
I think that it's something that she wanted. That
Yeah.
the speech would be nice,
Yeah.
but it doesn't.
She even
also
said to
doesn't
me,
matter.
she's like, I'm so glad you didn't give some lame speech. And I was like, oh, man.
Because she'd just be like,
I
okay,
wrote such a sweet lame speech.
Get to the point. Get to the point.
Yeah,
Come on,
yeah.
let's roll through this.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so great. That's so exciting. And you said I listened to Boys Club that you're just gonna do a simple wedding.
Yeah, we're going to Africa, so as simple as that is. But yeah, we're pretty much eloping is what the plan is. We invited our parents,
Yeah.
and our siblings, and if they come, they come. If they don't, they don't. No pressure. We know that it's on the other side of the world, and and both of our we had gone to Africa, to Namibia 2 years ago, and it was the best time of our life, and so we really wanted to do a wedding, honeymoon, all together type of thing.
I love that.
And
a place that's special to you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And both our parents have been divorced, and so we figured if we make it far enough away, the ones who really want to come will come, and the ones who it doesn't really make that big of a difference to won't, and that's fine.
I know I've always said it. Getting invited to a destination wedding, although it can be pricey, and
Yeah.
I totally understand people being I don't want to go, but it is a great reason to consider traveling to that place.
Of course.
It's like a catalyst, right? So fuck, I've always wanted to go to Africa. If I was rich, I'd go, Scott.
Yes, you would be more than welcome.
I would, Africa, wow.
Yeah, my brothers are so excited. So Namibia is very cool. It's actually a country right next to South Africa. It had been, what's the word? Colonized, I guess, by Germany to start with. And then Germany gave them their independence. And then South Africa was like, actually, that independence means nothing. You're now part of us. And then they were just in the 80s given their actual full independence as a country. And it's mostly parkland, so it's all safari and stuff like that. It's one of the smallest populated countries in the world. And it was just magical. We literally rented a car and drove ourselves, which was kind of fucked because you're driving on the other side of the road.
Yeah,
that was
that's
very
scary.
weird. But also, when we were driving through the parks, it's just gravel roads that you're on by yourself for hours. There's something about it, and you're driving for 20 minutes next to herds of zebras that
my
literally
gosh.
it's just there's got to be hundreds of thousands of them, right?
Holy
You're just driving and driving, or the amount of times we had to stop on the road to let giraffes pass. It was just so surreal. It was so awesome.
So cool.
Oh, it was very, very cool.
Holy
it was just
fuck.
yeah.
Out of this world.
Yeah, it was.
It's just a totally different world.
Just an experience and a half. And it was really eye-opening, too, with the whole... Because you have this vision of Africa that World Vision kind of sets up, that the poverty is extreme and they're living in the dirt. And there is that. I'm not saying there isn't that. But it is a lot more industrialized than people realize. It's a lot more westernized than people realize.
Yeah.
There's the people who are in those destitute situations are living off the land. They've been doing this for thousands of years, and they live very prosperously in the wet seasons, and very much like the animals in the dry seasons. Yeah, it's fucking hard, right? And so when there's water and animals around and the vegetation and stuff is growing easily in the wet season, it's it's great.
It's just that's how that's their life.
Yeah.
So they make I watched a documentary once that was about babies. I think it was literally just called Babies.
Mm-hmm.
And it was about babies of different cultures and how they're parented and the differences. And it was talking about how babies in America are the most temperamental, most unhappy, most needy. But babies in Africa who are playing in a puddle of mud are the happiest babies.
Yeah.
And it's just so interesting to me. Because
it's
You don't
so
think that.
culturally different. It really was a culture shock, right? Like where you're just like, this is so crazy. And it was really eye-opening too, because the amount of times, like, beer was cheaper than water.
Wow.
I got weed first day.
Really?
Oh yeah.
And was that scary? Like,
No, that was
getting-
another thing. I mean, it is interesting because it's like, I felt it a few times in Toronto where obviously you're playing a room where you're the only white guy in it.
Yeah.
But to actually legitimately be, just stand out like a sore
yeah,
thumb.
like you're really truly the outlier.
I'd never in my life been like, it would be so awesome to just be black right now and just blend in. Yeah, right? Because like
Yeah.
they and for good reason, they see a dollar sign on your head, right? As soon as you're
Yes.
white, they see a dollar sign.
Yeah.
And so you're approached all the time and you're a little bit higher risk for stuff like robbery and stuff like that. And you feel it, right?
A little more vulnerable.
A little bit more vulnerable.
Yeah.
Just because of the color of your skin, which was like really eye-opening too, right? Like it kind of made me respect and put a little bit more perspective on just some of the things that, you know, people in, you know, different ethnicities deal with in Canada in small areas, right? Like I remember growing up in Grand Prairie, Alberta, northern Alberta, and there was one of my buddies was black, and he was legitimately in grade 5 the only black person I'd ever met, and everybody amongst all the schools knew Rick, right? Like they just, I mean, it's an old joke. Everyone knows, you know, the black guy, they call him Rick or whatever. But like, it was true, you know?
Only one.
And I couldn't even, it's so weird to think about the fact that it took me to my mid-30s to go to Africa to actually like truly understand what a giant obstacle or what a weird feeling that is of just being so obviously different, right?
Oh my God, that's so true.
It was cool.
When I grew up in Anganesh, I don't think we even had a black
Right?
person.
Right?
That's insane.
And this is why sometimes I feel like the term racism gets thrown around a lot more than there are racist people.
Right.
No, I mean, racism is a serious problem.
Yeah.
But I really believe that a lot of it is more ignorance and just
Yeah.
people like not even like maybe saying hateful things, but not from a place of hate, just because they're so ignorant as to even what it means.
Exactly.
You know? Like,
they're not used to it at
how
all.
would someone from Antigonish know, you know, the minute details of microaggressions towards minorities, right? They don't, of course.
And the same with sexuality, because when I grew up, you know, really there was there was maybe one openly gay person. I don't even think that they were that open.
And I mean,
Yeah.
it's why transgender people at this moment are dealing with so much. It wasn't even a sector of the population, even though it was.
It was, but
it was
wasn't
such
seen.
an under the rug,
Yeah.
like, don't talk about it, like so much more than even homosexuality, which was also buried at the time.
So
right?
true.
Like, yeah, so
it's crazy to think about the young kids growing
Mm-hmm.
up today and what they're exposed to. It's crazy.
it is crazy.
Compared to what we experienced, you know?
Even the amount of young kids that I'm just like, one of my good friends in Winnipeg, she has a queer son and he's 11.
Nice.
And I'm just like,
That's crazy.
at
young.
11, I had no fucking idea who I was.
Right?
Like at 11, I was still like, oh my God, am I gay? Like, I didn't know. Like, I was just like, when do you find out? Like, you know, like,
Well, so many people, like, in their 30s.
and he was just like so openly gay and like so
Really?
like, he was just like so comfortable with it. And I'm like, this is insane. And it was like heartwarming to see almost that this is where society has come, you know, like we're actually.
Kids are so much more self-aware because they're exposed. They're exposed to so much more, and they see it out there more. So they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm gay too." Like,
And this is where like it makes you think, yeah, the whole being upfront and honest and liberated with yourself and like being totally accepting of everyone who whatever they want to do, they're doing.
yeah,
You know, it does like foster this confidence in the youth of whatever they truly feel they are, right?
Yeah.
Which is awesome. Because that's something, I didn't know who I was until I was almost 30.
I still don't know.
Right? Like,
I feel like I'm still figuring it out. I don't know about you, but
yeah, life's a humbling experience.
life is truly like. Do you ever look at people and think like, how the fuck has things just been so linear for certain people, and for other people it's been like all over the place? Like it's just a fascinating
It is so
thing
fascinating.
to think about, because I often take myself, like, the older I get, the more I start checking things off that I know aren't going to happen. Like, I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm never going to have a relationship, never going to be married. Like, I need to just accept that and move on. And it's just so strange how for one, I should say, I'm terrified of death. So I'm always thinking about dying and how, I only have so much time left.
Right.
And like, that really hit me in my 30s. I don't know about you, but like when I hit 30, I was like, oh, gotta start building roots,
I'm
building bricks kind
waiting,
of thing.
I'm waiting for 50 to have that existential crisis.
Are ya?
Knock on wood.
You haven't had it yet?
No, death hasn't really like been something I've worried too much
Really?
about. Oh, I'm way more worried about the impending doom of the environment than I am.
That's right.
You're like,
yes.
oh yeah, I forgot about your craziness.
But I mean, did you see, okay, I need to ask you then. Did you see that speech by the young kid?
Greta.
Yes.
Greta Thunberg.
Did you see
Yeah,
that?
pretty inspiring, eh?
What did you think?
I loved it.
Holy smokes.
I loved it.
Yeah, that was great.
It
really hit me in my guts.
Mm-hmm.
That speech, and especially the part where she was like, "You turn to us for hope. How dare you?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh my."
Yeah. No, it's true.
Oh my God, she's so right.
Yeah.
Because I say it all the time. I'm like, "Oh, the young people give me hope."
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Why are we putting all this pressure on them?
They're like, you don't deserve the hope. Like, it's true. No.
She was, and I went like to her Instagram and I was like, holy fuck, this chick has been like an activist. And she has Asperger's apparently as well. And she's done all this stuff. And I'm just like, what the fuck have I done?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just so crazy.
But it also makes me feel like I can do more. Like
That's true.
It's encouraging too, right? To see that much hope in that generation and be like, you know what? If they can fucking put in a little effort to save this planet, I can also research the parties and vote for someone with a fucking environmental plan, right? Like,
there you go. That's the least that you could do.
Absolute least I can do as
Is
someone who votes.
Absolutely. And I think it's important to vote. Listen, I don't know too much about politics.
Yeah.
I would not call myself an expert in any way.
No.
But I will never not vote.
Yeah.
I refuse to never, and I truly am someone who doesn't really care that much. I should care more, but I will always vote. These people who don't vote, I don't understand why, I
get it a little. I see the choices that we have right now, and it makes me want to not vote. Like,
right? It's like, what evil is the best?
Which is, I just hate that feeling.
Yeah.
Like the Conservative Party. Do you mind if we talk politics?
Yeah, no, we
for
can
a
totally
second
talk
here?
politics.
Okay, so the Conservative Party should run away with this election. It blows. All they had to do was run a leader that wasn't fucking being questioned on how small-minded and anti-LGBTQ he was.
Mm-hmm.
Like all they had to do was run a moderate, fiscally conservative leader,
right.
And the Conservatives would win this by a land. The fact that Trudeau, after the last 4 years, is still a viable candidate is insane.
Mm-hmm.
And then the fact that people view the Conservatives and the Liberals as like the only two choices is also
Right.
insane because there are other choices.
Yes, there is.
And I hate that idea of people being like, "Oh, you've got to vote strategically.
Yeah.
If you don't want Scheer in, you got to vote for Trudeau. If you don't want Trudeau in, you got to vote for Scheer." But like, that's such bullshit.
Like we're choosing votes based on who we don't want
Exactly.
in power.
And the only people saying vote strategically are liberal supporters and conservative supporters.
Absolutely.
And they don't give a fuck
No.
about what you actually idealize as your values, right? Like,
Seriously, though.
like they don't care
Yeah.
about how you feel about the environment or how you prioritize the points in the election that actually matter most to you.
Right.
So like, I just feel like, and this is kind of my little soapbox here while we're
Get on
we're
the
doing it, but
listen.
like,
You're leaving. The
vote
province.
for who you want. Fuck strategic voting.
Make your own fucking choices.
Especially
Do the
with the
research.
especially with the chance of it's probably going to happen a minority government.
Right.
So if it is a minority government, whether it's conservative or liberal, the parties that are going to make the difference are going to be the lesser parties like the Greens and the NDP, who are going to need to be brought on board with the Conservatives or the Liberals, whoever's in the minority power, and they're going to need to give concessions that party wants to get what they want done.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, like, if the Conservatives have to buddy with the NDP, I really believe that's the best thing that could happen for this country.
There you go. Yeah.
Everyone's like, oh, if it's not a majority, how are they going to get anything done? Well, like, if you look at Harper's best years, it was his first 4 years when he had to buddy up with the NDP to get shit done, right? Like, because he was a minority. And then they gave him full reign, and he deregulated all the environmental stuff, and everyone started hating him.
Right.
And
He did stuff.
well, I mean,
Bad stuff.
yeah, he did whatever he wanted. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my. Canadian politics is so complicated. It's so crazy to me.
They're complicated, but it's one of those things where it's all surface education, right? It's taking, and this is a big ask, right?
Yeah.
It's taking 3 hours and going over all of the platform.
Yeah.
And educating yourself.
And
And honestly,
taking the time.
I know 3 hours doesn't sound like a lot, but of course it is.
It is. And a lot of people don't do it.
Nobody does it.
Mm-hmm.
I bet you there's 5% of the voting population that actually looks into it, right?
Yeah.
It's
And also to find a party that hits all of your values.
well, there's not one.
There's no way. So you almost have to, it's a tough decision.
Yeah.
It is.
So
really
it's why
tough.
you got to be educated. And there's a lot of people too who have like party loyalty, which I just see.
Yeah, like I grew up always voting for this party.
I've
so
been a conservative all my life and I will only vote conservative,
Yeah.
right? It's like,
Yeah.
well, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Like, why are you, they're not sports teams. They're fucking, it's
Seriously.
the government. Like, you don't have to go down with the ship. Like, you're allowed to vote for someone and then not like the job they're doing.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
You're allowed to like a sports team, but say they had a shitty game.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah.
It's just like
I never understood
The
that.
people who like feel like liberalism is a part of them, and they're like, anyways.
Yeah.
It's just like fucked up,
Oh boy, this world's going to shit.
right? You on Twitter?
The climate change stuff is truly scary.
It's incredibly scary.
And like I make jokes all the time. I'm like, oh, I use straws, like, like I'm a piece of shit. But like,
It's scary.
it like I mean, we see it with like the extreme weather we have.
If you're not noticing it, you're a fucking idiot. Like,
seriously.
And this is the thing too, is like the people who are at the forefront of the anti-climate change brigade or whatever, right? The people who are like, it's a hoax, it's not happening. It's all these rich dudes who are worried about their taxes, right? It's just like, I'm not saying carbon tax is the way to go about this. I'm not saying that we should be taxing pollution, but we should damn rights be taxing pollution. And of course, there should be a price for what we've done over the last 100 years. And yeah, it does suck that we're the ones who have to deal with the brunt of the consequences for what our generations previous have done to the environment. But it's either we fucking do and we continue to preserve this planet, or we just all die.
Seriously though.
Like, what's the benefit of the rich people? Like, I guess the 1% can probably afford to make little bunkers or whatever. But what kind of life is that even for them? Like,
Oh God, Jesus!
Good talk, Sarah.
Good. I love that for some reason, it always comes back to the end of the world.
Yeah,
with
that's
us.
right.
Bro, fuck talking about like Halifax comedy scene. Let's talk about how the
let's talk how we're all dying.
The planet is gonna. Do you think that you'll be around for it?
I think the crunch time is coming up. I think we're gonna see it.
Well,
I think honestly, I think that like we're still 20 years away from gas masks and extreme flooding, but I don't even know. Like, this is just all from what I'm reading, and like a lot of times you read stuff where scientists are like, "We're fucked in 5 years." Like,
I know,
you
you hear different info from different sources.
Yeah.
It's like the weather, like meteorologists telling you different things.
I mean, the thing that's really scary is the mass extinctions going on, and like we're actually in the midst of the 6th mass extinction in Earth history, and this is where the people who are like, this is a natural cycle, don't worry about it, this has happened for millions of years, and they might even be right.
Yeah.
But even if they are right and we can slow it down, why the fuck are we not slowing it down?
Why aren't we doing anything?
Like,
yeah.
I mean,
and I don't know, like, I don't know what I could do. Like that, I think I feel overwhelmed sometimes with all the things in life. I get too focused on my micro version of what my Sarah life
Yeah.
is and the things that's going on with me, that I often forget about, like small things I could do that would make an impact. Like
I know,
recycling.
I know
like,
it
you know,
sounds silly.
like,
It sounds silly, but little things make a big difference.
they really do. And because if everyone did little things,
I mean,
you know.
look at so Johannesburg, South Africa, last April was literally at a 0 water level, which means that there was 0
like no
water
water.
banked
Oh,
water,
okay.
you know, like
Yeah.
like their water table was at 0. So like they were working, like when people were turning on their tap, like they were using up their reserves. Like they were down to nothing.
So it's like when the power goes out here and you're
And
like
they-
using reserve water. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
what they did was they basically were like, we're charging you huge money for you to continue to use water for stuff like watering your lawn and stuff. Any spike in water, you're allowed to shower once every 4 days. Like they put a huge, they started to really
Commoditize?
I
I think that's
is that a word?
I'm
I'm trying to be smart here, but
We're
I'm
not even
not.
drinking that
I'm
much.
not smart. Yeah.
No. I'm bad with words.
But you know what I
Yeah,
mean, right?
yeah,
They started
yeah,
they started to put
price.
money on how much water you were using.
Yeah.
And it worked. Like people backed off and like,
Really?
so they're still sitting, they're still, I mean, it's still not good for their water situation, but so it's one of those things where like, it is little things like turning your heat down at night. It's little things like
And using less water here.
using less water. It's little things like voting for someone with an environmental plan, right? Like,
so important.
so I don't know. I mean, what can we do? Research,
And
figure out what you can do.
I should say as well, I'm not a huge fan of people who attack people who maybe don't do as much. Like, I think we should just be educating
Education should be the
rather
sole
than
goal.
shaming. Like,
Which is what was so impressive about Greta Thunberg is she wasn't at no point was she was like, you're fucking us.
Yeah.
Well, she was.
She
but-
was, but I think she was talking to specifically the people
Yes.
who are fucking us.
Yes. Yes.
Not the general public watching
Yeah.
her. And that's what made it so fucking powerful. And that image of her, I don't know if you saw it, there's like a meme out where Trump passed by her at one point and she was giving him death glares.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh my gosh, if you could just sum up the last couple of years in a picture,
Well,
it would be that.
it's honestly like Trump's done so many offensive things, and the thing that still fucking upsets me the most is doubling down on clean coal. Like coal, this is what you're gonna go back to? It's 2016. He wins the election in 2016. He doubles down on coal. What the fuck? Like, I mean, yeah, the grab or by the pussy thing, all this terrible stuff he's done, but like you're doubling down on coal, like. What is 1930? Like, what are we? Fucking insane.
He's an idiot. Ugh, such an idiot.
You on Twitter?
I am. I hardly ever look at his tweets.
You never
though.
look at it? It's so funny because, like, Twitter's the one social media I kind of get into.
Yeah, do you?
And, oh, man, when the whole Trudeau brownface thing happened, it's the most fun I've ever had on Trudeau on Twitter in my entire life. It was hilarious. Like,
Yeah,
that's
like watching the tweets
Oh,
come
my
in.
God. What a fucking...
What a mess.
Oh, just the best.
I don't know why people aren't firing him.
They are. People are pretty upset. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what? This is what I said earlier, right? Is like, if there was a viable fucking candidate being run for the Conservatives right now, this would be a landslide.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that Trudeau lied about electoral reform, fucked up marijuana so badly,
Yeah.
the NSC Lavalin scandal,
Oh, yeah.
got caught in blackface.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
people are still like, but is he the best candidate? Like, this is what's happening? This is how fucked up the Conservatives are? They can't win against a guy like that? Like,
It's so true, though. So true.
30% of Canadians consider themselves religious. We're one of the most
Only 30?
only 30.
Really?
We're one of the countries with the most atheist agnostic populations in the world.
Damn, I never knew that.
So what's weird is for the conservatives to rely so heavily on that Christian right vote, right? Because that's what Andrew Scheer is, right? He's a Christian through and through. He's very anti-abortion. He's very anti-LGBTQ, although he has lessened on that, right? But he's now also never taken back some of the things he said 10 years ago about how gay marriage is like marrying a dog almost, right? Like, you know, like little things like that you're like, you couldn't find a candidate that was also fiscally conservative and ran with the conservative values, but also didn't dehumanize people.
Yeah.
Like, it just seems weird.
Yeah, that is very strange.
But
And
they
depressing.
saw it work with Trump, right? So they saw getting that alt-right, and I hate that word because I mean, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, like the further right-leaning people, you know, all riled up can work.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's enough of them here to pull it off.
No.
So even if they win, it's going to be a minority government. I don't know. I just think it's such a silly
When's
choice.
this election happening? Soon?
October 24th, I think.
Coming up.
It's right away. Like it's 3 weeks.
Make sure you're registered to vote. I actually did that the other day.
Did you?
And I am. So I was shocked. It was funny because my friends sent it in a group chat, and so many people replied like, "Oh no, turns out I wasn't registered." And I was like, "Wait, I am? Did I do something right?" I was like shocked that I wasn't the one who fucked up. I'm like, I'm not that responsible. I'm shocked that I didn't even get blood work done recently. My doctor was like, here's a thing for blood work. And I just literally forgot to do it.
Yeah.
And I lost the piece of paper. Like, I'm so bad at adulting.
Do you ever have moments where you're like, oh fuck, I'm older than I feel like?
Absolutely, but
Like,
I also feel very old.
It's been happening so much lately with like words and just like cultural stuff where I'm like, I saw a tweet the other day and I wish I could credit the girl who did it because she had a ton of likes on it. I'm paraphrasing it too.
Yeah.
But the tweet was like, girl, I know you say that you're a sapiosexual, but I've met your boyfriend. And I was like, wow, I have to look up what sapiosexual is.
Did you look it up?
Yeah.
What does it mean?
It means attracted to intelligence.
Oh,
Turned on by intelligence.
I feel like I knew that. There's also like all these,
Which
like,
made
all
me
these
laugh when I
terms.
Googled that, and that's what was I was like,
Ironic. It's
that's
ironic.
funny. There's another group of people that won't fuck me. That's funny.
I love that because there's also the term demisexual. Do you know what that means?
No.
That means that you need an emotional connection to like be attracted to somebody.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, that's just like a thoughtful person.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
that's just somebody who like
Yeah.
isn't gonna bang
Yeah.
strangers.
Someone who's like, I love those tits, but also when she does that funny thing.
If I could pick any of the new, like, I think that would be me. Like, I think I usually need to like really know someone to like really like them.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that term is just, if you're going to have a relationship, that's just having a relationship.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
But I
obviously
think
there's still, I feel like demisexual, like those people still have lust moments where it's just like, you can still be attracted to someone without.
But but I think that that's what it is. I think that this is like, cause I know people who have told me like, I find it hard to be attracted to anybody. And it's interesting because I feel like with me, there's so much of attraction that is personality based. Like that's why online dating I just suck at, cause I'm like, yes, okay, you're a fine specimen. You look good, but
Yeah.
like, what do you talk like? What's your vibe? What, like, it's just like, there's so much more to it. And I have issues with that, but there's so many people who are just like, yeah, he's cute. I'll go on a date. Like, and I'm like, wow, people are so different. It's crazy. It's tough to navigate.
I do not envy 20-year-olds today. Like,
no,
it's such, it's just such a different
different
sexual time.
Yeah,
like,
it's really tough.
It's so, like, the amount of guys that I've talked to are 23 who are just like, oh yeah, like, I don't even, if we can't get along online, I don't even want to meet you. Like, I don't even know. Right. And it's just like, and I'm the opposite. I'm like,
Me too.
Like if my girl and I were to go separately or whatever, and
Yeah.
I was just on the market again, like I would be the guy at the bar fucking approaching strangers again, right?
Yeah.
Like a creeper.
Well, I think it's time management, because in order to do online dating correctly, you need to put the time in.
Right.
So if you are at all busy and distracted with like other things, you're probably not going to put the time in. You're just going to get matches that you sit on.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of these people who are good at online dating actually have the time to do it, and maybe they like it. I don't know. I'm really bitter. I'm going on 9 years single, so like it's really hard for me to get excited about like talking to someone and he liked my message. Like
Yeah.
I just don't. It's gonna take a lot for me,
Right.
to ever like be like, oh, this could potentially go somewhere. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's. Yeah. And then just time is time is like my currency. So I really don't want to waste my time.
Right.
So that's why I'm really picky with who I go on dates with.
Right. Do you
Which
think that
is
holds you
lot.
back a little?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's like kind of one of those choices. Like, do I pull
isn't
back
this
on
a-
other things in life?
Sarah, isn't this a double-edged sword a little bit here? Isn't like
Yes!
one of the reasons you're
Yes,
miserable?
it is. It's a triple-edged sword. It's a fucking spiked dildo, Scott. It is way more than a sword. You're so right. You're 100% correct. It's like if I could just, but I think it's like I'm one of those people like I just want to have it all, man. I want to have the
You're
good
the
job.
only one out there.
I want to have
like
the good
that.
job. I want to have the passion project, and I want to have the relationship. But you know, it feels like I can only have two or one.
You know what? It's funny because I feel like I have it all right now, but it also took, like, that's the thing, right? Those first few years in a relationship are not easy because you're trying to navigate. Like I was single almost my whole life.
Yeah.
You know, like when I started dating my girl at 29, I'd had 3, 4
Right.
girlfriends that, you know, for 3 months at a time,
Right.
you know, like very short
Short-term
span relationship.
dating. Yeah.
Nothing that really, you know, more like once the sex fizzled out, it was over type of thing. Not so much
Long-term
not so
commitment.
much how do we navigate these emotional and mental needs
Yeah.
of each other. You
And
know?
how do you fit into each other's life?
Exactly.
Is such a huge one.
And it's funny because now it's seamless. But I
Yeah.
mean, that's easy to look at and like, that's the thing whenever someone looks at my relationship and is like, oh, you're so lucky. It's like, well,
Right.
yeah, I am lucky, but not really in the sense, it's like saying I'm lucky to be a funny comic. Like it's just
Yeah.
like, I put in the time and the work, right?
You're
Like,
lucky in the sense that you met her,
Yes.
but you put in the work to keep her.
Exactly.
And it's probably the same with comedy. You have a natural talent to being funny, but you put in the hard work.
Yeah.
You have the work ethic.
Yeah.
To be a solid comic consistently.
Yeah.
all
To
the way
develop
through.
an act. And so,
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's
just-
such a mix. It's
just
never
like-
just.
It's like if someone, I'm sure you get podcast compliments all the time, right?
Yeah.
Where people are like, "Oh man, you're so,"
You're-
because
I
you're very good at interviewing and you're very smooth on the
Try to-
microphone.
yeah.
But you're at what episode?
This
what
is
are we at?
this will be your episode will be 132.
132.
Mm-hmm.
So you've done at the absolute least 200 hours of podcasting.
Yeah.
So for someone who's on podcast number 3 and they listen to you and they're
Mm-hmm.
like, oh my God, I'll never be that good. Your first response is going to be like, oh, shut up.
Yeah.
Like-
Yeah, no, and you want to know what? You're so correct, and I undermine it all the time.
Yeah.
Because what I do is I'll say, oh, well, this is a conversational podcast, so there's not as much skill involved. But really, there is a skill.
Of course.
And there is a skill in long form conversation. And obviously, like, I'd like to do different styles of, like, I'd love to do a more formal interview based, like, I'd like to experiment and do
Yeah.
some different kinds of podcasts just to, like, test myself in that way.
And do it.
But it's a skill that I undermine. But also at the same time, like it's the first time ever that I have the podcast on my resume because I think I gained the most skills from this versus any job that I've had, any employer that's
Yeah.
paid me in money.
Yeah.
I've gained the most skills from this because it's self-motivated.
And this
it's
is-
a self-motivation thing.
This is where, like, we were talking earlier about how your numbers dipped or whatever,
Yeah.
you know? And, like, honestly, Sarah, if in a year and a half, Intoxicated as a podcast, you feel is done. That doesn't mean your experience podcasting
Is done.
You
Yeah.
can, you know, like, you can start something different or go a different direction or whatever you want to
Yeah.
do. And you've got fucking
This goes,
hundreds and hundreds of hours of experience that you can't just get from starting a podcast, you know? Like,
Did I tell you about my failed podcast?
no.
Oh, okay.
Was this long before Intoxicated?
No, this was recently.
Recently, okay.
So this summer, me and my friend Shannon, shout out Shannon, and I shouldn't say failed. She'll get mad at me for saying that. But it just didn't last as long as we thought. Shannon and I were both single gals, and we were like, let's take on the summer. Let's make dating. Let's date more.
Right.
Because I just don't. I
Right.
just don't do it. So I was like, maybe this will be kind of motivation to date. So we decided to do this podcast where we talk every week about our dating experiences, whether that be on the apps or like real life dates, like
Right.
whatever. It's really, we try to gamify
Right.
our dating life.
Right.
And we put a goal to kiss 5 guys in the summer. Okay? Cutesy little gimmick, which was unrealistic at the time. So I started this podcast, and first couple episodes were a lot of fun. I went on one date with a lovely guy who, like, we had great conversation, deep conversation. Talked about, like, mental illness.
Yeah.
Talked about the end of the, like, we talked like this.
Yeah.
Like,
Nice.
deep, like, not just small talk bullshit.
Yeah.
We had some good conversations, and then it just never went. Like, you know, I never got a message back or, you know, whatever. So, this podcast lasted 5 episodes because when I got to the end, I was like, you know what? I'm not in the headspace to do this. I can't actually date right now because I'm figuring out my life. Like, there's so many other, like, I really want to, but I just can't. So we had to end it.
No, but I get it. You know,
But I couldn't be, but it's like part of me, like, I just can't be,
Well, you
I can't do things for content.
Sacrifice your emotional well-being for
Content.
Yeah.
And that was the thing. I was like, oh, this feels icky. And like, it would be one thing, I guess, if like we had like listener questions, which I don't know who would want to take advice from me, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if there was other things to talk
Right.
about, but I was just like, I don't have the space in my life right now. And I went through some crazy heartbreak stuff over the summer too. And I was just like, I can't do this. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Like, we gotta stop. But it was fun while it lasted. But,
Yeah, well, that's
little.
sometimes fun while it lasts is nice. you know?
Yeah, well, that's just it. You do something a little different. I have so much fun with this. I think that this is my strong point.
People
so.
underestimate how fun is. You know?
Yeah.
Like-
Well, do you ever feel guilty for having fun?
Yeah, when I know I probably haven't accomplished as much as I should for comedy. Right? So, like, there's lots of times where I'll maybe, like, even yesterday is a good example. Like, my buddy came over and because I had to get some packing done. So we did a bunch of packing and then we started drinking in the backyard. And then next thing I know, I'm drunk in the backyard. Right? So,
The maritime way.
Right? The maritime way. So,
Just end up drunk in the backyard.
yeah. So, I mean, but
But question for you, because a lot of this is similar in the sense that, like, if I was a full-time podcaster, I would have to hustle my ass too to get paid for it. But like, what is your typical day as somebody who is working in comedy? Because it's not always show days.
yeah, it's not.
So, like, how do you establish a workflow so that you do make sure?
I'll give you 2 examples of my days. Okay.
yes.
A good day is I get up at 8. I have my coffee. I read my sports. I play some Angry Birds. I just chill out for the morning. At 9, I start making phone calls for shows that I'm booking out west. Because, I'm sorry, at 9 I start making phone calls in the Maritimes for shows I'm booking out there.
Right.
And then I normally put an hour into phoning or emailing or doing that. Have breakfast.
Yeah.
Write a little.
Yeah.
After 1, start making calls out west, which would be 10 a.m. their time, right?
Yeah.
Trying to book shows there, sending emails there, and then wrapping things up around 3 or 4.
That's amazing.
And that's amazing.
And so you do this, like, most days of the week?
No, this is what I'm trying. That is my good days.
That's
okay?
the good day.
My bad days is my alarm goes off at 8. I hit no. And then I sleep till 10. And then I get up and I read my sports and I play my Angry Birds. And then it's 11. And then I have breakfast. And then I'm like, it's noon. I'll maybe just smoke a little bit of weed. You know, just get the brain flowing before I try and write. And
Hell
then,
yeah.
And then after I get high, I don't write. And then I just watch TV, and then 2:00 rolls around and I'm like, oh man, what have I done? If I should just really bathe in this guilt for an hour.
Oh my gosh. I have
I
wasted so many hours feeling bad about the fact that I didn't do anything.
Right?
That is, you nailed it on the head. Like, I don't want to compare unemployment to comedy life, but it feels similar.
Oh, it is. It's the exact same thing.
In the sense of job hunting.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Like, I don't have a shift to get up for. So
Yeah.
what I'm struggling with right now, maybe you can help me with this. I'm struggling with actually getting up early because I'm such a night person.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like really bad, Scott. Like 4 or 5 a.m.
Yeah.
So like, I'm trying to crack that lifestyle of like, get up at the same time every day and start your work at the same time every day and put a solid couple hours in.
You have to break that. That's
I don't know how.
It's either you don't do it and you just find a way to work around it, or you have to break that. Because I was a night person. Like, the only reason I'm not anymore is that my girl is not.
Right.
And, you know, so
I feel like it's either like girlfriends or kids that would change someone.
Yes.
Like, kids would definitely do it.
Yeah, because I was always a 4 or 5 in the morning person too.
It's, let me tell you, fucking brutal. Like, and I know that it's a choice.
Yeah.
But I think I'm just, and maybe I was like this as a kid, but like, I'm just bad at going to bed when I'm not at all tired. I need to be exhausted to go to bed.
I found the only way to break it is you have to go exhausted for 2 weeks, right? Because you have to force yourself up at 8.
Yeah.
And what I would always get my second wind at midnight, right? Like, so midnight would roll around when I should be going to bed, and I'm like, woo, this is the best I've felt all day. Right?
Yeah,
Like,
I know. It's so bad.
So, and you have to force yourself to go to bed and lay awake.
Yeah.
And fall asleep at 2, 3.
Get off the
Wake up-
phone. Get off the screen.
Get off the screen. Wake up at 8. Tired as shit again. And this is the thing, though. Your body will just fall into a sleep pattern after a couple weeks. It's just, you literally have to, it's like, if you drink every day, right? But aren't
Stop calling me out, Scott.
but aren't an alcoholic. Here's because there's lots of times where I'll go in a drinking binge where I'll drink 6 nights a week for like 3 nights. You know, when I'm on the road, I'm drunk all the time.
Right.
And you know, it's not alcoholism, but like it's binge drinking.
And you're out of your life, so you're
and you're out of your life, and so when you come back, I want a beer really bad at 6 p.m.
Yeah.
Like my body's just like, put a little booze in me. It'll be a good time. And it is. But like, you have to like force yourself those 2 days kind of thing to not. And then it's not hard.
And do you know what the key is there? I don't think it's getting up for me, because I have this theory that night people are actually more flexible than morning people. In other words, like, night people can get up early and be miserable.
Yeah.
But I feel like morning people usually have an issue staying up late. Like,
Yeah.
if it was a party or something,
Yeah.
like, they would be the ones yawning at midnight.
I'm tired. It's 1 a.m.
But the key is not napping for me.
Yeah.
Because I hit that like 5 or 6 p.m. where I'm like, I could use a nap, and then I lay down, and
Yeah.
it's 3 hours later, and I'm like, where am I? What year is it?
Yeah,
What
no.
did I sleep through?
Yeah, no. Yeah.
It's so bad. I feel like living alone is
My
like,
girl's
if I
a
had-
napper.
If I had a roommate to just hold my ass
Yeah.
to it and be like, no, you're going to bed now.
Yeah.
I feel like I would do so much better. But
Yeah. My girl's a napper. I get it.
It's
is.
so hard not to nap. Are you a napper? Do you like
No,
napping?
I hate napping. Never have been able to.
Really?
Whenever I've tried, I just lay there being like counting down the time till when I got to get up, and like, I don't know. And then when I do nap, I feel like shit. I'm just like, it's just not worth it, you know? Like, I'd rather
So
have a
not
coffee and
worth
fight the
it.
fatigue than, but I'm good at sleeping. Like, I sleep when I say that, I mean, I sleep 7-8 hours every night, and I get
What?
up and I'm good to go, you know? Like,
What? That must be so nice.
it's pretty good.
When I'm stressed, it's bad.
Yeah.
I've been getting little micro night terrors lately, which are like, I love how this comes up in a lot of my podcasts, but like, I hear random voices sometimes at night.
Ugh.
It's a little scary.
Yeah.
I might try to get paranormal investigators back on to see if like this place, if there's something haunting me or something.
Yeah.
Because I will be on the verge of it falling asleep, and I will like, something will like like startle me, and I never really know what it is.
You believe in ghosts, then?
Kind of, yeah.
Do you believe in God?
We're getting real deep now. I think that I don't think. Okay, my answer to that is that I want to,
Right.
but I don't know. I would be more on the agnostic
Right.
spectrum, but I think it's because I have such a fear of death. I really want to believe there's something
Oh, of
after
course.
it.
Good God, who just wants to lie in the dirt? I mean, I consider
I
myself...
know a lot of people. I know so many people who look at death as literally nothing matters in this life, and when we die, we're dead. That's it. There, so many people I know like that live their lives like that.
Andrew Vaughn.
Andrew, he is one of them. He is one of them. And like he has his own thoughts.
Shout
on that.
out, Andrew
Shout out,
Vaughn,
Andrew.
yeah.
You little atheist. But I know a lot of people who think that way, and I just don't know. But I grew up Catholic.
Okay.
That was kind of forced down my
Yeah.
throat. But like, I don't believe in the Catholic Church. Fuck that.
I only ask because
Yeah.
I don't believe in God. I mean, again, I'm in the same boat. I mean, fuck,
Agnostic
it
or
would
atheist?
It would be sweet if there's an afterlife. I mean, I hope there is.
Yeah.
If you're gonna just ask me straight up how I think,
Yeah.
I don't think there is.
Right.
But I mean, I'm not dead set against it. Like, I hope there is.
Yeah.
But because I believe that, I have a really hard time believing in ghosts, right? Because I'm like,
That's fair.
I'm like,
the two go-
how do I justify not believing in one but believing in the other? Because like, and I know atheists who believe in ghosts, and
Interesting.
I'm like,
Oh, that's
how does this even work?
That doesn't make it. Have you ever had someone really close to you pass away?
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, did you ever sense them?
No.
No. Interesting.
My brother gave me a really interesting theory on this, is that ghosts don't exist. However, there is something in everyone's brain that, because death is such a difficult thing to overcome, that it's something that your brain kind of has to go through to kind of like deal with it, type of thing.
Yes, I have heard that, and I do think that that's probably more what it is.
Which is also super interesting, how powerful the brain is and how fucking little we know about it, eh? Like,
Well, that's the thing, and you know what's fucked up about that is, this is getting really dark, but kids that experience like trauma as kids, whether that be sexual or like violence or whatever, they actually develop coping mechanisms to get over that, and some of them will create alternate personalities.
yeah.
To survive, because they're like, I need to survive, so like they will learn, their brains will help them learn to cope with fucking sexual violence.
Yeah.
Like it's little kids.
Yeah, of course.
The power of the mind is
It's
madness.
It's madness, and it's really insane. And like,
Yeah.
yeah.
What are we even? Why are we here, Scott? What's the deal with all this? What are we supposed to do?
I'm like, I'm just sitting here looking at you right now, just like, is all of your podcasts this miserable, or is this just me? Like,
I love this shit. I love getting deep in, because I find it interesting, because it is really, truly, it speaks to.
Look at how little we've talked comedy too. Hey,
know,
yeah.
We really haven't. I do have one comedy question for you.
All right.
I'll save it till the end, but
Sure.
But I think it speaks to how different people look at life, because some people look at life in a way that like, okay, I have to find a purpose. I have to make it meaningful. I have have to do all these things. And like, there's other people who are just like, nothing matters. It doesn't matter what you do. Stop caring. And it's like,
Which side do you fall on?
I want to fall in the middle. I want to care a bit less about certain things.
Right.
Like the things that are like, I care a lot about what people think of me. Or, like stuff like that.
Yeah.
I hold too much value in people's opinions of me. So
Right.
I seek for validation, and I want to care less about that, because I'm only here on this earth. I'm here, and I just gotta do what I gotta do.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, I do want to create meaning, and I find myself really wanting that.
I feel the same way. It's
but
almost like I want to care more about things that will affect future generations, stuff like the environment, and be more impactful positively on society, but also care less about stuff like social interactions that don't fucking matter, right?
Oh,
like,
that's a big one.
Like just
Big one.
especially when I know damn well so many social interactions happen that I'm constantly going over in my head that
Yeah.
the other person hasn't thought twice about, right?
Right. And I find, like, I have friends like that too that are like, you remember way back, like, a couple weeks ago when I said that thing to you? Well, like, just to let you know, like, I didn't mean it like that. Like, this is how I meant it. And I just go,
What?
I forgot that even happened.
Yeah.
And I think that there's something to that. Like, it might be a little OCD,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
But, like, and I don't really know. Like, I'm completely unmedicated, so I have no idea how these things are managed with medication, but they might be.
And I'm not a psychologist, and I don't know if this idea is even right or wrong, but I feel like with the invent and the progression of social media and the internet and kind of more communication with people, but less physical interaction. So it's like this false sense of communication that isn't really happening is what's creating such anxiety and stuff when you're in real situations, right? Because it's like anything. It's like going on stage. Like, do I get nervous before I go on stage now? No, because I've been on stage over 2,000 times. Yeah. Right? So how fucking can I? Yeah. That would be insane if I was still nervous.
It's just a reflex right now.
And I mean, I'm not saying there aren't still people who get nervous before going on stage, but I'm not one of them anymore, right? So it's like anything you do, it's like driving. Yeah, driving's a very scary thing when you start, but if you do it for hours and hours and hours, it just, it dissipates, or...
Yeah, gets easier.
God. My vocabulary sucks.
But you know what's
balls.
fucked up about the world, though? Okay, so like the driver who's a good driver who's been driving so long versus like someone who's a little more scared. They both have a equal chance of like having a random car accident.
Of course.
Because the world is chaos, and that's my issue. I just get really scared of the world sometimes. And my grandmother was like that. We getting real deep. My grandmother like lived a life of fear.
Wow.
Like hardly left her house.
Yeah.
Didn't really do much. Like raised kids. Like did the standard thing, but like didn't travel. Didn't see the world. And I'm just like, I'm so scared of becoming that.
Yeah.
I don't want to be that.
It's people become so goal orientated.
Yeah.
That they forget to enjoy the ride, I feel like.
So true.
You know, like it's one of those things where like if you're worried about every little thing, you're actually holding yourself back or inhibiting yourself from moving forward.
Absolutely.
But none of it matters. Like that's the thing, really, is like at the end of the day, none of this fucking matters.
I totally agree with you.
And when I say none of this matters, I mean like on a individualistic scale.
Yes.
A lot of it is just like personal relationships, daily communication with people, just like the interactions you have. That's life.
Yeah.
And enjoy those.
And you have control over how you react.
Yeah.
So like if something happens, you can either wallow in that or say, all right, like I do this thing sometimes where I go, well, the past is in the past. Yeah. Gotta go. Move on.
Yeah.
Like
it's a good way to live life.
Literally, you cannot change what just happened.
Yeah.
It happened. So what's next?
Yeah. No, I agree 100%.
And I think like you talking about Africa and stuff.
Yeah.
I really want to rough it sometime. Like I would like to experience.
You should.
Like something like that, because
and
I
that's
feel
an
like
attainable goal, though, Sarah. Like that's something you can do.
Yeah, I think I feel weighed back by money. At the end of the day,
of course,
and I feel like I can't do
that's a
things
big
'cause of
obstacle to overcome because it's and I just mean even mentally, like because I feel the same way, and a lot of times, every time I feel like it's hopeless and I'm so fucked and so strapped and so you always come out the other side. Like you do always come out the other side,
you
right?
Figure it out somehow.
You always figure it out. Like
it's true.
You know, no matter how bad it gets. Like I'm not proud of it, but I've gone bankrupt. You know, like you can. There's always a way out, right? Yeah. And people get too held down by the fact they owe Visa money. Like, especially when Visa doesn't give a fuck.
They don't give a fuck.
They don't care about you. No. And honestly, the $5,000 you're in debt to them is nothing.
Yeah.
And if you don't pay it, it's covered by insurance. Like it doesn't even matter, right? So it's just.
You're so right. Yeah. It's really, you just gotta.
So it's like moments like this. Yeah. Right? It's like, enjoy this, enjoy what you're doing. And I mean, I'm a hypocrite because I also sit around and fucking worry about it all the time.
Well, I worry about money. Money is my number one stress. That said, like, Kirsten Finch messaged me with one message saying, would you be willing to do a gay photo shoot with me for $500? And I said, yep.
Yeah.
And we're totally doing it. It's like
Nice.
some photo shoot in the woods or something. I don't know what they're going to make us do, but Kirsten, I'm glad to be doing it with you of all people. Scott, one piece of comedy talk for you.
Okay, yeah, let's. I like it.
So, do you have any
This is
advice?
how we end it.
This is how we're going to end
Okay.
it. Because there's a thing behind you with notes from I might be doing a set at some point.
Oh my God.
So, do you have any advice for people who are looking?
Do it.
That's what everyone says.
Just do it.
Everyone says just do it.
And the truth is that
The Nike symbol.
your first set isn't going to matter anyways. And honestly, if you just want to do it to experience it, then it doesn't matter. Right? So go up and do it. Have a good time. It's 5 minutes. Honestly, you've watched enough open mics
I know.
that there's nothing you could do that would be worse than what the worst thing you have seen. There isn't.
Actually, that's actually a really good way of putting it. Because the way I've been looking at it lately has been I'm being way too critical about my jokes because I've seen comedy so much that I'm looking at it through your guys' lens.
Yeah, no, don't look at it
and
through,
not through first time comic.
Yeah,
I mean,
you have such an advantage on some 18-year-old kid who's like, oh my God, like people have told me I'm special all my life. I can't wait to get up on stage and spew my millennial knowledge. So like, you know what I mean?
It's
like,
so true though. But like
my little sister.
Oh,
Claire, shout out.
Claire. I love
sis.
Claire. Yeah.
She came to, I'm guessing, but I bet you 100 of my shows before she got on stage.
Yeah.
And so you go to, you're probably close to that too. I bet you've been to 100, maybe not quite, but like I bet you're at 50 shows
over
you've
a
seen.
year. Because like when I had Andrew Vaughn on, that's when I really started going to see live comedy, and that was over a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been pretty consistently going for about
For sure,
a
I've seen you
year.
at 10 shows, just me.
I know, it's crazy.
So, which is great. But
Yeah.
that says you've seen it.
yeah.
You've seen the worst that can happen. Don't think about the best that can happen, because that's
Because that's not going to happen. I love that.
You know?
I just want one chuckle. That's all I really, really want.
And you'll get it.
I just want...
Because you're a staple on the scene. You come to all the shows, and comics are going to support you.
Aw.
And, you know, go up at Gus's. It's easy.
Yeah, I was
You
thinking
know?
that. Is there anything that you see, like, because you've seen them too, you've seen, like, everyone from various levels of experience in this scene, and maybe, like, this is a good way to end it, because you're kind of saying goodbye to the comedy scene in Halifax. You'll be back.
I will be
You
back.
better be fucking back.
I'll be back 100%.
Is there anything that you've seen new comics coming up here do that you think, like tips, like the stuff they could do better, stuff they're doing really well, or any thoughts on that?
In all honesty, if you've done comedy 100 sets or less, just get up there and do it. Just get up there in front of the mic. I mean, the first time I ever did comedy, I puked before I went on stage.
I can see myself doing that, to be honest.
I get the nerves. It's a terrifying thing, and
it's insane.
This isn't my stat. This is Chris Rock said this on HBO's Let's Talking, or Talking Comedy, or whatever it was. I forget what it was now, but Talking Funny.
Right.
And he was just like, one of the things that, like, the thing that most people's biggest fear is public speaking. And that's ahead of death. So,
not for me.
So there you go. So most people would rather be dead. Most people would rather be in the casket than saying the eulogy, right? Is what he said.
Right. Oh, interesting. Okay.
So knowing that is the level of fear in most people to go up on stage, just doing it is an experience, and just doing it is going to grow you as a person. So, like, why even worry about it? Just get up there and do it, right?
Just get up there and do it.
Because you're going to get up there and it's going to be a blur. And you're going to cross your fingers and hope you get a few laughs, and you're going to, because people are supportive, and you're always supportive at comedy shows. And so I would say, if you want to do a set, just go up and do it. And don't overthink it. And just do
I
it
think
sooner
I'm
than
big time
later.
overthinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm big time overthinking, and
And you know what you do? Don't tell anyone.
Oh, hell no.
Message Martin and just be like, hey, do you mind if you put me up? And don't even put me on the poster, and just show up and go up and do your 5 minutes.
Do you recommend bringing, like, at least one or two friends, though?
It depends on how you feel. If
Yeah.
you feel like some friend support will help you, then do it.
Yeah.
If you don't, I know comics who have done both. I know comics who have brought out 40 people on their first set.
Holy shit.
I know comics who have
That's a lot.
I haven't, who didn't tell their friends and parents that they were doing comedy for 6 months, you know?
Wow.
Like, so it's all what makes you comfortable and just do what you want to do.
Oh my
So
goodness.
if that's advice, that's advice. There it is.
It was so nice having you back on.
I feel the same way. I'm so glad I kind of got to come on and do a farewell podcast
a
before
little
LA.
farewell to Nova Scotia. It's not goodbye.
I
it's
loved
see-
you, Halifax. You were such a good scene.
It's not goodbye. It's see you later.
Yeah, for sure.
It's
And
see you later.
when I left Edmonton, I mean, Halifax is going to find the same thing. I'm going to be back so much. You're going to be like,
You better be
never
back.
even-
Bring your friggin' sister too.
Yeah,
'cause
I will. I want to bring her out here and do an actual tour. She was out here in the spring. I know you guys did that podcast. It was great. Like,
Yes. You gotta bring her back because you both have the case of the funny gene. You're both extremely talented.
Oh, you.
Do you have any dates or anything coming up in the? I know you're moving, so probably maybe not.
I'm at Crickets Winnipeg.
Crickets Winnipeg.
Yeah, this weekend, and then I've got a show in Eston, Saskatchewan, Saturday, October 5th, and then I'm at Yuck Yucks Edmonton, October 11, 12.
Awesome. So those October dates we can definitely put in the description of this. That's fantastic. Thank you so much for everything.
Thank you.
Good fucking luck, and you better stay in touch. There's
You know it.
There, like social
I'll
media.
be back.
You'll be back. You always have a spot here on the podcast.
I
and
can't wait till the next
on the
one.
futon if you need a crashing place.
Amazing.
For sure. So
Till the next time we talk about the end of the world.
Oh my god, it makes me sad. I love getting so existential with you. You're one of my favorite. Most people don't like talking about stuff like this, and I love it so much. I'm so dark, but Scott. Not now.
Good night.
That's all, folks.
Nice.